right.
All righty. Good evening. Good evening. Hope you guys are doing well tonight. Here's the thing. How's your content? Is your content stale? Um, are people clicking off your content? Are people not really kind of understanding you right what you're about? Are they thinking about your one thing, and then when you start talking and you start creating videos, you're about one other thing? Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit differently tonight. We're going to flip those feelings of inadequacy, of not making sure that your content has a meaning or a purpose. And we're going to flip all of that stuff and we're going to put that and flip it on its head tonight. We got a guest tonight that we're going to talk about purpose within your content. We're going to talk about purpose in who you are as a content creator, because you always have to remember that it's about the content. You are the content. But other than that, you also have to be the content. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that after we get through this opening. All right, let's talk a little tonight. Here's the thing: if you came here tonight thinking that we're going to talk about cameras, best camera for your YouTube setup, the best lens for your camera, we're going to be talking about lighting. We're going to talk about how to get the most subscribers, all of that. Sorry, you came to the wrong live stream tonight, man. You came to the wrong live stream. Let me tell you why. My guest has hundreds of videos on all of that, telling everybody, giving everybody great advice about that. Tonight's live stream, before you even think about your channel, your your subscriber count, all of that stuff, you have to think about who you are as a person. You have to think about your focus on your why and your purpose for your content, because I feel that that's the most important part of your journey, is understanding who you are first as a content creator, because anything that you create as a content creator is an outcropping of who you are. So you have to make sure you understand that part. Here's the thing. Have you seen that person, whether um it's at church, or it's at a meeting or somewhere, that person that's on stage or they're acting, and you see them and you're like, man, that person is doing exactly what they're called to do. That person is actually operating in their purpose. My pastor years ago down here in Atlanta, he was like one of the first people that when I saw him on stage, I thought about that. And then other people that kind of came into my life, like John Maxwell, other people like that. But those of you who are in the audience who know my guest, the first time you've watched one of his videos, you probably thought the same thing. You're like, man, this dude is operating exactly where he's supposed to be operating. He's he's taken his purpose and actually made it into a viable business. But more importantly, he's actually giving away. But here's the thing that I love about him the most, is that he has taken his faith and took his faith, and actually it's directing everything in his life, his family, his relationships, his business, and his content. I want to welcome tonight, I feel, not just one of the best content creators on YouTube, but I feel one of the best content creators, period. And I just want to welcome Omar Takori, El Takori, to the stage. What's going on, big man? How you doing?
Hey, man, I appreciate it, Steve, for real. That's a cool intro. I feel honored, and I'm honored to be here. Excited to talk and hopefully encourage your community to do things that really press them into what they're supposed to do.
I know, right? Oh man. So let me just make sure I do some housekeeping things right here, real quick, and move some stuff over like I'm supposed to. All right, excellent, excellent, good deal, man. Well, one of the things that I wanted to do tonight, there's a lot of people that kind of know you from Think Media, also with the new brand that you actually have coming out, which is the video department. But I want people to kind of get to know you a little bit differently. And first thing I want to do is actually just kind of in your own words, tell people a little bit about yourself, and then we're gonna play this little game that I got called Get to Know You, and we're gonna move forward from there.
Yeah, name's Omar El-Takori, and I spend a lot of my time, creating content to help people with an emphasis of entrepreneurs, and a lot of the times emphasis on nonprofits and ministries, but essentially how to start creating videos and everything that that entails. We live in a world that really video is the way to either market yourself. The video is the way to share to the world about what it is you do. And so yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be doing video for over 15 years. And I was in high school. I took an elective, and I haven't looked back. That was a long time ago, and I really fell in love into the process of creating videos. And I would say over the last 4 years or so, I've been kind of in front of the camera, stepped aside from behind it, got in front of it, and started teaching video. And a lot of that goes on a channel called Think Media, which is a YouTube channel. At the time of this interview, I have about maybe 2.3, a little bit over 2.3 million subscribers, and very fortunate enough to be able to reach a lot of people with that platform. And yeah, and I'm also a community pastor at my church. I oversee small groups along with my wife, and church. We just celebrated 5 years of the church plant. My pastors are pastors Jabin and Shannon Chavez, and it's been incredible. Live in the city of Las Vegas. Also did some time in the military. I guess when I start talking about myself, I start realizing that I'm a pretty interesting character.
Yeah,
But
you are.
but yeah, no, it really is cool to be able to just help people, and I'm just learning a lot about how much it is to get a camera going. That what do I talk about on video? What's my strategy and all those things that it entail. But I do think it's possible for people to step into it, and there's just basic things that you should know so that you can just get going. But I'm excited to unpack those things, and hoping that by the end of this conversation, you feel encouraged to give either video a shot, and or even consider it as a pillar to your business and or ministry.
Excellent, excellent, man. I appreciate that. And before we get started, I just want everybody to know we are um, on YouTube tonight as well. So you can go and connect with us on Podcasters Live over there on YouTube. We are on LinkedIn tonight, so we already have some people kind of shouting us some stuff out over here on LinkedIn. I'm excited because LinkedIn was an issue with Ecamm kind of getting it going, but now we're there. And then we're also in our Facebook community as well tonight. All right, man. So let's do this. We're gonna do this. Get to know you. You already messed up my one question offline, man. That's okay. I was all stoked. I was like, I got one for him. You're like, nah, dude. I don't even get down like that. I'm like, oh man, that's all right. That's all right. That's all right. So let's do this, man. This is just called Get to Know You. All you have to do is just give us kind of your favorite or your your um your answer to this question, and maybe have a little follow up question about this too. So, what's your favorite city?
Favorite city, hands down, Las Vegas, Nevada. Nothing like it. I travel and then go to a place, and then everything closes at 7 p.m. And I'm like, man, I wish I was home because nothing closes here. And it really is just a cool dynamic city. I've seen it evolve over the last 20 plus years. And yeah, I love living here. Love it here. Love other cities, but Las Vegas is where it's at.
Nice, man. Nice. I know you love music. Know you love music because you always get us going on. In the program, we'll talk about the program here down the line. But if you had to think about three artists that are on your playlist, like right now, who are three of your artists that you listen to?
3 that I'm bumping right now. I'm pretty eclectic when it comes to it. The first 2 would probably be, right now, Elevation Rhythm. It's like Elevation Worship's like youth ministry, but they have a great album that's out, that I love. It's very different. Right now, I'm also playing Bethel Worship. They're crack-a-lackin', and then this is so random, but I'm on like a 2010 Chris Brown tip right
Really,
now, like
really.
pulling up like Fame, just going through um, the nostalgic vibes that I felt when I was in college. And so I don't know, I've just been bumping a little bit of that lately, but that's kind of like the flow. A lot of the times I really do just I also like I know you only asked for 3, but here I go.
It's all
I
right.
also like, William Augusto. This guy is he creates these like worship instrumentals, so they're
Okay.
so super like cool. I mean, I start my morning with it, and then I'll read the Bible in the morning, and I'll put him on, and then there's this artist on YouTube. His name's like Victor Thompson, I believe. He's like a Nigerian worship guy, and he'll just
Mhm.
like jam for an hour. Like he
Yeah.
has the type of videos where you'll just throw him on and let it run in the house for like an hour or your office, and he's just like flowing, and I love it. And so yeah, this is kind of like the tip I'm on right now. I mean, it's kind of like low key, but I'm
Nice,
about it.
man. Nice, nice. I was driving the other day, and this group came on just like random. They're on my playlist, but I don't know if you're familiar with an old school Christian hip hop group called Cross Movement out of
Mhm.
Philly. And I thought about you. I thought about you as I was listening to the music, and I was just like, "Oh snap! This reminds me of Omar, the hip pastor." But it's just it's hip hop, but it's like I mean these dudes are rapping. They got bars and they're from Philly and they're called Cross Movement. So anyway, I was thinking about you. I was like, I'm gonna ask him that question. When I talk to him about music. All
Yeah,
right,
dude, I'm a huge fan of hip hop. I gotta keep it clean a little bit sometimes. Even
true,
even the clean
true.
version, sometimes I gotta like, all right, now it's time to go back to Bethel. Like now it's time to go back to Elevation a little bit. But
Yeah, yeah.
but dude, yeah, hip hop keeps. I've just that's kind of like hip hop raised me. So yeah, I'm always getting it in somehow.
Excellent, excellent. All right, man. What's your favorite microphone?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think for me personally, I think one of my favorites is this one right here. It's the Rode Video Mic Go 2,
Mm.
and it's it's $100 mic that you could use as a USB mic. Uh, you could also plug it in on the top of your camera, and then you can also boom it, and then you can also put it near your mouth, and it sound pretty good like a podcast microphone. And it's only $100. So like,
Oh
I'm
wow,
always a fan of tech that like really goes a long way with the investment. But Rode, generally speaking, makes a lot of great products. But I'd say that's probably my favorite mic.
excellent. Just trying to make sure I got everything sorted here. All right, good deal, man. I know I said we weren't going to talk tech tonight, but I figured I'd use this part to kind of get the tech talk out. But here's the one thing I noticed, man, that you play some basketball, and then two, I see you out there with your golf game, man. You know, if I had to ask you what's in your bag, what's your favorite club that you have in your bag?
I mean, I love hitting the driver. Doesn't matter what kind of day I'm having. But I would say like on an iron standpoint, it'd probably be my 8 iron. I feel like it's like the trustworthy iron. If I just needed to get the ball forward, I'd probably grab the 8 iron because I just feel I'm happy when I grab it for some reason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can die.
Do you
There's
golf?
always that one club. There's always that. Mine's is a 6 iron. Mine was a
Oh, okay.
six.
Dang, that's
E-
rare.
Yeah, every time I grabbed a six, even if I had to do I have to like do like a punch shot or something like that. Like, you're supposed to use something else, but man, that six always I just felt like I can rule the world with that six, man.
No, I mean that's what I feel with the 8. So I guess that's
Yeah,
the feeling you need with whatever club that is.
yeah. If you're playing one round of golf and you only have one club to use, would it be the eight?
It'd probably be the 8 because I feel like I could pitch it up. I could putt with that. I could probably get far enough on a par 5 down, like if I hit it really good, it's a 160 5, but then if I chill out, I could probably get a nice little 140 from it.
Oh, not
Those yeah.
bad, not bad, not bad, not bad, not bad, not bad. All right, man. Okay, this one, man. We just talked about a little bit about basketball, and this one's gonna set the tone for the rest of the evening, man. You play basketball, but this is gonna set the tone. MJ or LeBron? Don't make me have to end this conversation,
I
man.
mean, like I think there's just something about the time,
I
like
know.
I mean it's kind of like best are we talking about the best basketball player?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, I mean, I think when it comes to, like, the time and stuff, like, I think Michael Jordan was that. Um, but when I talk about like when we talk about athlete all around, I love LeBron because of his consistency in regards to like what he does for the community, what he
Mm,
does off the court, his impact in beyond basketball,
mm.
like with culture, producing shows. I just love like the wholesome person LeBron is. I think that one ups, Jordan and Kobe and whoever you want to throw in the
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah, yeah.
However, when it's just basketball, it's Michael all day.
Nice, man. Nice. Last one here, man. Now I heard your favorite, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard your favorite scripture is Ephesians 2, 8, and 9. Am I correct in that? And what is that if you know off the top, which you probably do because you're a pastor? Um
Yeah.
what does that say and why is that one so important to you?
Yeah, Ephesians 2:8 says, Paul writes to the church in Ephesus, but he says it's by grace we have been saved through faith, and this isn't from our own works, for it is a gift from God.
Mm,
So if anybody would boast, just be reminded that this isn't from you. Like essentially is what it says. And growing up Catholic and really having a religious connection to my faith walk, when I encountered the free gift of salvation and the grace, the which essentially grace is the heavy lifting that Jesus did.
mhm,
That when I believe in that, then it's done. So the reason why it's such a foundational scripture is because it's almost like it was the one scripture that really got me. It clicked. It clicked with that concept and beyond a concept. It learning that like grace was in the form of a person
yeah.
and that the finished work wasn't anything that we can do, and even now there's nothing I can do. So yeah, it's definitely like it's a foundational scripture for me, and I think it's a lot of what people wrestle with because I think we keep equating our works to um our relationship with God, and when really he's like, I've already done the heavy lifting, just believe. And so yeah, that's the scripture.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the word that you just used. Um, I like to go with the flow, man. I got some scripted questions and things like that, but I like to go with the flow. I love the word that you use, wrestled. Because I think because we're moving into this idea around content creation and finding your purpose, and how that should kind of be foundational to I think anything else that you do. What is one of the reasons that you've seen why people wrestle so much with the idea of whether it's kind of the initial part, I think, of like understanding a little bit more about who they are, fighting that idea of like, I just need to go ahead and create this stuff for creation's sake, but not understanding who they are first before they put something out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not hard to fall into that trap because we're kind of groomed through life to achieve, like the way you get to your next grade is you got to pass your last grade. You got to show up and you got to work hard. You got to, get accepted to this college. You need to, apply for this job and hopefully what you've done gets you the acceptance to get the job. Like so much of life is going for just the next step of approval, and the difference, and that's why things are different in the kingdom. Like it's upside down.
Mm,
It goes, the last shall be first, the first shall be last. It's more blessed to give than it is to receive. These concepts, and so when it comes to like doing anything in order to get move forward in life or to achieve success or goals, it's really important that you understand your reasons.
mm,
And
mm,
many times we're putting out efforts to get results, but what I have found is that reasons come before results.
mm,
And if you have strong enough reasons, aka who you are, if you have strong enough reasons, aka what you're doing for your family, if you have strong enough reasons, aka the impact and influence you're trying to make in an industry or a niche, that the results would come. And so at that point, then I can just focus on my outputs, and then the outcomes would take care of itself. But even deeper, it's just so important. Like when anytime you can answer that question, like why am I doing what I'm doing,
yeah.
it just resets it a little bit. And even having reasons in your business, like the point for creating content is so that it leads to deeper connections, in the form of a transaction where you get to serve somebody at a high level. And so I think that's what, like, people aren't thinking much about it because
Mm,
video and social media and influence, it's such an outward thing, which I'm not dinging. I love it. But if you don't have the depth behind it, then people can sense that. And then the reality is you're gonna cause yourself running in a frustration cycle because you don't have that strong enough why to get started. And that's why a lot of people start and they fizzle out.
yeah.
Like, literally, there was just a local bagel shop that opened up a few months ago. They announced that they were going to close. The last day is like next week, and I'm like, dang, they didn't even give it a shot. It's only been a couple months. Like,
Right.
but I would argue, I don't know this for a fact, but maybe they just had an idea in mind that at this point we'll make this much money back on our investment, this, that, and the other. I don't know the details, but I feel like people who are able to stick things out through
Yeah.
hard times or stick
Yeah.
things out to figure things out, a lot of the times is because they understand the deeper thing underneath it. And so that's honestly purpose in and of itself. It's just being able to have the intention. Like, I am so clear on the intention of what it is I'm doing because I know exactly why I'm doing it. And so, man, I don't know. I mean, I think it definitely helps to know who created you
Yeah.
and to have
Yeah.
intimacy with your maker, because he can help you with that. Like, he wants to help you with that. And it wasn't till I actually got like, the approval from God, that I
Mhm.
felt like I guess you could say, the permission from him, not the permission from man or the permission of perfection, but, like, I got the permission from God to go and do the things he's called me to do, which I personally didn't even have a model or reference to follow, because I most people who are behind the scenes normally don't get in front, aren't usually the best communicators.
Right.
I also had things to do behind the scenes regardless, but leaning into it and knowing that my time would come when I would get in front of a camera or when I would speak on stages, that, like, when nobody was looking, I had that deep enough reason to be able to be working on my craft, to be studying communication, and to watch people who I think were good, but I felt like I was behind the camera and saying, like, I would do it this way, but that's just how I would do it, and just keeping these things in my back pocket. And yeah, I mean, God just beginning to do a work, but it all stemmed from a place of just knowing the deeper meaning on why I even have gifts to even give to the world.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm going to acknowledge people in the audience as well too, but I always like to. I'm a New Yorker, so I like to cut to the chase, man, and like get after it because I want to make as much use of your time as I possibly can, not just for me but for the audience and the people on the replay, man. Um, one of the things that we often talk about when we coach people is really that understanding who you are. The more you know yourself, the more you can say no. And I think that's also when I talk to people and tell people that they're often taken aback by that because they want to people please, and from a content creator standpoint, they want to audience please. How do you help or how have you helped, other people? Like, no, I'm not even gonna ask that. How have you been able to move from, that mindset, of trying to please all these other people? Because if I'm not mistaken, you're Enneagram 5, right? You're an investigator, right? So you like to get out there and try to figure things out and try to figure situations out. But how have you been able to kind of figure yourself out so that you are not being a people pleaser, but you're actually just putting out what you're supposed to be putting out?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I wish I had, like, super cool answers, but
Dude,
I
I'm just
think it's the it's the compound interest of spending time in the morning getting my spirit man right, like, having a morning time separated away from my family, waking up before everybody else. And, like, I'm not saying, like, I go close the door, pray for an hour, pray in tongues and all that. Like, I no, I
yeah.
spend about 15 minutes with God morning. And doing that as a discipline, and not doing it for discipline's sake, doing it because I wanted to, and also doing it because I needed it, has, I think, over time allowed me to listen to the most important voice in my life, which is
Mhm.
the voice of God. And so, when you say like, having the like a moment where you feel like you were able to just like go for it and you had the clarity to go, well, there's a lot there. It's as simple as it sounds like. There's the time that you put in the morning to meet with God, and over time he just whispers, the small still whisper of the Holy Spirit, and calling you to things. But then, but also wisdom comes from a multiplicity of counselors, and talking through the things that I feel like God's with other people, and being able to decipher those things. And honestly, the reality is God will speak to you, but the way he's going to do the thing he's spoken to you in your life is going to be through people. And
Mm.
so I've had incredible people around me to speak life into me, and also to help me process the things that I would think about in regards to, like, not feeling okay to quote unquote do both, being multifaceted at what I do. And it really came from conversations with people, and that I would say really brought me into like what it is I'm walking in now. And it's funny because people see it now, and they
Mm.
they ask a lot of the times, like, you know, I always like to say, like, if it's something's not a thing, you just do it and it becomes a thing.
Mm.
And it's almost like sometimes people think that I architected this in a weird way. I just think I just was consistent in a lot of things that I did. I built a lot of people's other things. Like, I wasn't always building my own thing. I'm 31, and in my 20s, I've always built other people's thing, whether it was the church I worked at when I was young in
Yeah.
20 something, or Think Media, or now City Light. Like, but it's allowed me to learn so much. And I think there's just something about committing to that service for a long period of time. You learn a lot, and then you can try and do your own thing, which is like kind of like the season I'm in right now.
Excellent, man. How did you and Sean Cannell meet? And then how did that, because I know he was doing Think Media beforehand, but then how did you guys meet? And then talk about that relationship that you guys have. Because I think it's you guys know things. We always see are the things that are on the screen. But I think the relationship, it just looks really special between you two. Um, if you could talk a little bit about how you guys met, and then kind of the maturation of that relationship, because I feel like he's probably maybe one of those people that maybe spoke into your life or saw something in you that when you were building other people's things, and he was like, hold on for a second, dude, you don't need to be behind the camera, you need to kind of be in front of the camera. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, man. Sean Cannell, CEO, founder of Think Media. What's funny is the church I used to work at from around 2012 to like 2016. There was a season where he was the marketing director, and I came to the church, I got saved, and I started serving, and he was over like all that stuff, and so I just started serving under him. And shortly thereafter, I was able to get like an internship through the church because I was going to UNLV and I needed like an internship, and he was able to make that work, and then it transitioned into a job afterwards. So, I would say I've known Sean since 2012 and was working alongside him, and then there was a season where he went out to like then start what is now Think Media. He felt
Mm.
like he had some promise there, and I kind of assumed the role of creative director when he left. And then, we probably didn't talk for about maybe 2 or 3 years, and I just saw what he was doing from a distance, and I personally felt like it was time for me to, step away from the security of a salary and just trust God, and just go all in, just working for myself, like doing creative work, weddings, photo shoots, small business promos and things like that. And then in that season where I left, we ran into each other at the gym. And all I know is Sean's just, chipping away at his YouTube channel. And he's like, dude, can we grab coffee? And so, this is fall of 2016. We grabbed coffee, and he's like, dude, I'm working on a course and I need
Mhm.
help shooting and editing my YouTube videos. And I was like, yeah, man. I mean, like, I literally was living 3 minutes down the road from him this entire time. And it was good timing though. And so I just started helping him. We would have these batch shoot days. So we'd shoot for 8 hours, 10 hours, twice a month, and then he'd have enough content. And as I'd be editing it, uploading, and all that stuff. And as it's evolved, like the channel began to grow a little bit, and then around 2019, he actually was like, "Hey, could you consider just start making your own videos and teaching? I feel like you could." And I was like, "Yeah, no, let's do it." So we would dabble with some videos, and they would do really well. And it's like, dude, you can do this. So that was 2019, and then 2020 came around, and it actually was amazing for Think Media as everybody was trying to figure out how to do certain things, and it really catapulted stuff. So I started posting content on Think Media I think at around 750,000 subs, which was amazing that Sean has got there. Just him
Mm,
being on camera,
mm,
and then enlisting myself, and then later on enlisting, the likes of Nolan and
right.
then Heather at the time as well, which really catapulted the channel and grew it exponentially, where we're experiencing, 40,000, 50,000 subscriber growth every month, because there's such a huge library of videos. But yeah, no, Think Media now, I think at like 18, 16, 18 W2 employees. And Sean would just definitely be one of those key voices in my life who actually had no need to give me a platform to
Yeah.
start
Yeah.
creating content with, and definitely has been a really cool experience. And committing to what I committed to when he asked me, "Hey, can you deliver on 2 videos a week?" Like, I mean, now I look back, and I have almost 300 videos on the channel over the course of the few years, and it's really built a skill set that I have in the skill of creating content. In all honesty, like, I'm learning that it is such a skill to develop a script, to work with a brand, to communicate a concept 10 different ways,
Yeah.
and just be creative with the ability to do all those things. And so, no, it's been really cool. And yeah, definitely wouldn't be where I'm at today without Think Media. And really, just I always go back to those days where we used to travel to every video marketing conference, and he would interview the leaders in the industry, or we
Yeah.
would go to CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, and
Hmm.
spend 12-hour days, 3 days back to
Just
back, and like
grinding.
just grind. And it really created some that's what people are experiencing, the fruit of those seasons. And now, as I
Mm,
obviously I can open up on a podcast, and people just say like, "Dude, you just know what you're talking about." Well, it's the 10,000 hours, it's the
correct.
constant goal to improve with every little thing. And also just a heart of service that is rewarded in the form of authority. I think a
Mm,
lot of times, if you serve for so long, God gives you an authority to be over the thing you served in, or whatever that may look like in whatever context. And so I feel like I'm experiencing that at a high level. And yeah, even a very small picture of that would be creating videos around a camera like the M50. And I don't think everyone thought the Canon M50
yeah.
would be something that it was, and it became such a cult following of a
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I'd be humbled to say I feel like I played a part in that by positioning the camera in a way that people it would make it highly desirable. And now, we're doing deals with camera companies,
Hmm.
positioning their cameras in a way that would get the right people to purchase them. And it's really cool. So it's cool that, like, at one point you make a video because you feel like you're supposed to, and then then brands catch on, and then they're like, "Hey, can you just do that what you just did for free then, but we'll pay a premium now because we're catching you at a later time." So it's like a really cool dynamic that's taken place when working with brands and stuff. But no, dude, love Sean and
Yeah.
Sonia and the 2 boys for life, for real.
Excellent, man. I want to latch onto a word that you said around authority. We got about 25 minutes. I want to latch onto this word around authority because I love what you said. If you serve enough, God gives you authority over it. And when you see a lot of content that's out there, I see a lot of content that's out there. And how does someone, gain that authority within that niche? Because I think what everybody wants is, not everybody. Some people want the download, some people want the subscribers, some people want the success, some people want the reward, whatever their mindset may be of their why. What's something that you can help somebody with, in or give some tips around gaining that authority within their niche? Because first of all, I think they have to have a niche. If they it's something very specific, that's tip number one. I just gave you tip number one. Maybe that's what he's going to say. I don't know, but if you can help somebody out with giving them a little bit more specificity around how to gain some authority within their wheelhouse, if you will.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what's funny is like for a while, and I'm this, there was like a huge, like, you got to pick a niche, pick a niche, pick a niche, pick
Mm,
a niche. I think the idea of picking a niche because of the word itself and
yeah.
like what people conceptualize, they feel like it's very limiting in nature. So I think the better word that we've been trying to reshape is, rather than niche, it's really picking a focus.
Focus.
Because
Mhm.
if you could pick a focus, then you can kind of like work around that focus, right? And that is key, because if you're gonna have authority, you need to have the authority over something or in something, right? And to just have the idea of like general influence over generalities is like a Kardashian level task, like. But you'd be surprised if you have subject matter expert knowledge in a particular subject or industry, that you posting consistent content around those things and your ability to actually communicate concepts differently is what actually positions you. When
Mhm.
somebody learns from you, there's a psychological thing that takes place where they actually put you on a pedestal
Yes.
because you're giving them information they don't know. So there is something that other people don't. And maybe you're not so far along as you would like to, but what's cool about putting yourself in the role of a teacher is you have the quickest access to new information. So you're a student, we like to say a player coach.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
only playing the game in your industry, you're not only a part of the industry, but now you're also helping people get into the industry or help people grow in the industry or what have you. And so I definitely think it's picking a focus, and then uh it's posting consistent content around that focus. And just, it's cool, like, it's cool seeing when you see somebody who's actually killing it in whatever demographic that you would deem them killing it in. You can trace back to a time where they were actually over something. Like,
Right.
I mean, I would even see the Kardashians, like, although they're like famous now, they really, like, it was family and reality television. It was like, it was relationships, it was how they handled a sibling rivalry. Like, that was kind
Yeah.
of it. And then eyes began to grow, and then you branch out, and from family dynamics, you are then able to monetize differently. And you know myself, like, I just did a hat drop today. So many people are like, bro, can I get a hat, can I get a hat? And it's
Yeah.
funny because I'm not like starting a, you already know, got the
You
hat
know what I'm
right
saying?
there.
You know what I'm
um
saying?
but, like, people want the hat, and it's like me picking the focus to speak on video has created this thing where people have wanted to buy a hat from me.
Right.
But this is the power of authority. Like, when something isn't a thing, do it and make it a thing. And you'd be surprised the ways you could branch off doing other things, um, when it comes to building your authority. And so pick a focus, post consistently, and then be in tune with the people who are resonating with your content.
Correct.
You'd be surprised. I spend about an
Mm,
hour a day just going back and forth with people who reshare my stuff, who comment on my stuff on Instagram, who are
yeah.
commenting on our YouTube videos. Like, now the influx is hard to like handle everything, but it's because I care. It's because I genuinely care about the succession of people in the form of creating content. And it's the best when people say, I'm saying thank you to them, and then they're like, "Nah, man, thank you." And it's like such a beautiful thing that can take place. And I'm just talking about video, y'all. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
even like, I'm not the savior of the world. I'm not like, I can't touch on sports necessarily, but because, if you're a thought leader, you think about things. You think about how ways things can connect. There was a reel that I posted that I equated getting your videos edited to the same price that people spend for Yeezy shoes. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
I took I took something that I love sneakers,
Yeah.
and I understand they're cool and all, but I also understand people wanting to, they don't have time to make videos. But it's like, yo, if you spend the 250 $350 on 4 of your videos to get edited, then you could probably create some passive income to then buy the
Correct.
Yeezys. Like,
Yeah.
just being able to take concepts like that. But that all is, again, people positioning myself as an authority. I got a camera
Excellent.
rolling right now at the
Right.
side of this interview. because I want, to cut up some reels after this. And by doing so, it's establishing authority in the sense that people can see that I'm on a call, which means I'm coaching in some way, shape, or form, or I'm being interviewed. If you're coaching or if you're being interviewed, you must have something to say. And those are connections that are made before I even say a word, just by
Right.
the shot itself. So there's the positioning of yourself too. So like the way you position yourself online is key. So I think I said four things there. I said decide to focus,
Hmm.
post consistently, uh, position yourself, and and engage with your community. And I think those four things. There's the master class
That's it
on how to
right
level
there.
up.
And my buddy, my good friend James here, he's super excited that you said the word focus because he has a brand called Focus with his business. And
I'll tell you.
so yeah, focused on you. So he's like, I'm gonna I know what he's thinking right now. He's gonna take a clip where you said focused and he's just gonna like cut it up like he's mixed master ice and just try to and spin it around like Omar said focus. Like, no, you can't do that. This is copyright stuff, man. You can't do that, man. Sorry, James. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for the love, but you can't do this. That's a copyright infringement, man. I'm just letting you know right now. If I see it, I'm asking for a check. Um,
If I see it, I'm resharing it.
that's right. That's it, right? That's it. I want to go back for a second, to talk about your service in the military and what did some of those lessons because I think
So good.
people, I know for myself, I was in the military as well. I'm way older than you, but I know what it taught me and some of those things that now, even in my older life, I'm like, dude, that's from back then. That I learned from the military. So anytime I have somebody that's in the military on, I want to like talk a little bit about that and what some of those disciplines, if they did teach you about what you're doing now or some of the things that you've learned when you were in the military and how they're actually kind of showing up now in your life.
Man, the season I spent, I would say I did ROTC at University of Nevada, Las Vegas at UNLV, and I would say those years were so formative in the form of my, my people skills and my situational awareness. Like
Mm.
ROTC, if you don't know, is the Reserve Officer Training Course. Uh, and people who are going to college or students who are going to college can actually in the same time become an officer. And so when I graduated college, I was also commissioned as a second lieutenant, and people had to salute you, boy. Just kidding. It's true though.
That's it. That's
But
it. That's it.
no, what it taught me honestly was I didn't know that this was happening in the time. It's only when I look back was just how much it taught me about leadership. And it
Mm.
taught me so much about how people are always watching you, that your presence, like your bearing, they call it military bearing. Like,
Yeah.
does your presence carry something? And like, when I hopped onto this call while we chatted before you started, you're like, dude, you look tired. I'm like, dude, fail. 0 for 1 right now, and so, like, literally, when you started putting the countdown, I was like, "Oh my, you need to turn it up, like, people are gonna be watching this stuff, like, how dare you look tired in front of people?" Like, so, those are the little it's crazy because they're not like, the things you think about first,
Yeah.
they're kind of just, like, implied. I learned about so much of the implied nature of leading
Mm.
and how much communication matters, how much it matters when you're not in a moment of leadership, like, how are you as a follower?
Mm. Mm.
Because we would trade roles a lot of the times, you would be in leadership, and then, somebody takes on leadership and they put on a whole different persona. It's like, "Whoa, whatever happened to," like, so even about being a holistic person, that, like,
Yeah.
you're the same person when you're up front and you're the same person when you're in the platoon. So, like, yeah, the military taught me so much of those things, and then just the camaraderie, obviously, of like the melting pot that the army is,
Mm.
people from different backgrounds, and even just like a personal conviction to be sure that I remain a light in this context. And even though that's not the easiest, but you could win people by just serving them, hearing them
Correct.
out,
Correct.
listening to their needs and helping them. And all this stuff has, I don't 100% translated not only into my uh my entrepreneur career, I guess you could say,
Mhm.
but also in
Mhm.
ministry, like
Yeah.
100%. And it's something, it's definitely an experience that I'm so grateful that I accidentally stumbled into,
Mm.
because when I graduated high school, I was intending to just go into the Air Force. I
Yeah.
walked into the wrong office, and then they were like, "Why don't you just stay in town and we'll pay for college, and then you don't ever have to go to basic trade." Like, they just sold me on the whole officer thing, and I was like, "All right, I'm in,"
There
and
you go.
so yeah, so it worked out really well.
Nice, man. I love what you just said about the leadership piece, because one of the things that I talk to people about, and I feel a lot of times people have a misconception around leadership in the context of like, yes, you are a leader, but here's the other thing is that people are choosing, they're allowing themselves to be led by you, right? Like you get that. So you may have a position of leadership, but I have to choose for Omar for Omar to lead me. If I don't like Omar, guess what? I'm out. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do it. I'm going to try to figure out somewhere else to go. But the fact that I like Omar, I like what he's doing, I like what he's saying. I'm going to make the choice, the cognitive choice to actually be led by Omar. I think same thing happens with content, is that when people are thinking about, when they put something out there, the automatic thing is like, well, dude, they should just listen to it. I could, because I put it out there. Well, no, guess what? As an audience member, I actually have to make a choice in order to actually listen to what you put out there. When you are thinking about your content creation journey, um, are you looking at the result in first, or are you looking at the audience and the topic first, and then kind of working through that piece? I think a lot of people think about the result last, or the result first, and they may have it backwards.
No, dude, you got it right. Like, I don't think about the result first. I think about the person that would be most helped with the content. And and if it aligns with the person that I want to help, which I think it's in, I think everyone should kind of write down who is it that you want to help. And it can't be everybody, because if you try to help everybody, you'll end up reaching nobody. So like, what is that age group range? 5 to 7 years, male or female, you know, walks in life. So like, I have an avatar in my brain whenever I'm creating content, and
Mm,
the
mm,
ideas that I get are usually stem from a place of helping that individual. And so it's a beautiful thing, when you can meet that person that you planned on meeting before you actually made it. So
mm,
I'm not worried, because I'd rather reach the right person with my content than reach everybody and hope to reach some people. And that's like a tension that, should be managed as a content creator, because some plays you'll make on a content piece, whether it's a video on YouTube or a reel or a TikTok, and the hope is that more people see it. But I think, if especially if you're business minded and you're an entrepreneur, it makes the most sense to actually reach the people that are potential customers.
mm,
So like, I'll give you a good example. Like, Think Media really, like, I mean, I think the statement that a lot of people here say is, the channel is all about bringing you the best tips and tools to help build your influence with online video and YouTube. And I made a video on how to use your smartphone as a webcam for free in 2020, and it got over 1 million views in a very short matter of time. And it's cool, because everybody's like, dude, sweet, you got 1 million views. But like, I would say that's not the ideal audience that we're trying to
mm,
reach. Somebody that's just trying to level up their webcam for free. And although there's like, there's ways to approach that, and it's good that you have some attempts like that. But for the most part, I like just sticking to, you know, what we're best at, like how to set up the Canon M50 to get the best sharpest image possible. And in all honesty, that's a good example, is even the idea of like a specific camera, settings review or setting setup tutorial, as opposed to best camera settings for YouTube generally speaking. The
mm.
ones that have a specificity with the camera itself get more views than the one that's trying to be general.
Yeah,
So there
yeah.
is power in focus again. And so I think I definitely think about that. So, if I'm on a conversation, or I'm on a video podcast, or I'm being interviewed or what have you, and there's a moment that I think would be good to be placed on my Instagram,
Right.
I run it through that filter of the person that I want to serve. And if they would find any value in that, then it goes up. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like how I base it.
L- The last thing I want to talk about, man, is that you've been with Think Media for quite a long time. Um, and then now you have, this, the video department. One of the first things, everybody and their mama, oh man, Omar's leaving Think Media. Oh my god, him and Sean fell out. Da, 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 da. It's just like, stop it, people. Stop it. Can a brother do something on his own? Like, can he not have something on his own? And walk me through the vision, if you will, from like Think Media, doing all of the content there, to saying, you know what, I want to do something that I know I'm really good at, and that I feel God's trying to place in my heart. And walk me through the kind of when that vision happened, and then now your vision has kind of come to life, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, over the course of the 3.5, 4 years that I've created content around building your YouTube studio, like editing tutorials, like this brain has a Rolodex of information that can expedite the process for people who value their time. And, you know, if you know this, you'll know that in business, the best businesses just solve a problem for a profit.
Mm,
And the thing is Think Media solves a problem, but in their problem solving, it creates a new problem. And it's
mm,
kind of like when, you go to Apple and you need an iPhone. So that's the problem. But you buying an iPhone creates a new problem. What's the new problem? The new problem is you need a case. The new
yeah,
problem is you need AirPods. The new problem is you need a car mount. Like you didn't have those problems until you actually bought. So something I found with like the solution that Think Media provides with the free help is that it's hard to get the full picture on YouTube.
mm,
And I've met too many people that have spent weeks and months, just, getting things here and there just because they're spending hours on YouTube trying to figure out what they should buy for their situation,
right,
setting up their signature setup to make videos, and it's prohibiting them from just getting started. And and so that's kind of where it like birthed from. It was like, what if I just help people more on an intimate level to get their setups really dialed, but then give them the frameworks and the content theories and the things that can enable them to actually create videos very easily with no real emphasis on a platform. It's just
right,
about creating content for your business and with hopes, obviously that would lead to leads into your business and then future customers. So that was kind of like what I felt like. I felt like I wanted to step into a season where I started helping on a more intimate level. I understand that I can do big reach and make videos all day on YouTube, but there was like a void that was like people are still not getting the full picture, because if I recommend you a camera in that
right.
same video, I didn't tell you what to buy with that camera. And so you buy this camera and you're like, I didn't even get a lens. Like I just bought the body on and I didn't buy the lens. Well, that was in another video when I talked about the best lenses for that camera. So it's kind of consolidating that. And I'm still also, in a process of patience of truly seeing what it's ultimately like because I want to do workshops, one day workshops in various cities. I'd like to, I got a studio here in Las Vegas that I have created that I'll probably start some form of an agency or done for you service, which is something I did in the past. So yeah, I think it was kind of just downloaded actually from a flight that I had from Atlanta back to Vegas. I felt like it was all downloaded, and I wrote it in my phone. And
Oh.
it's funny because that was in October, and here we are at the time of filming this, in March of 2023, and it's kind of just slowly becoming something that, I kind of felt like I got, but at the same time, it's still taking some time for me to, you know, um, get all those kinks out, So yeah, that's the video department, and I think people are very. It's cool. I mean, I think people are gravitating to the simplicity of kind of just the logo too, and
Yeah,
I that's
yeah.
I originally just called my studio. That was just going to call it the video department, and I did, and then it was just one thing. I got some merch made and people were like, I want some merch. And then I launched a coaching program and people wanted to be a part of it. And I found that like it really is cool because like the goal is that I can help your video department. That's the
You're
idea.
right.
Like
Hmm.
you have a business. I think every business should have a video department. And so let me be a part of helping you build that. And that's where it's kind of stemmed from.
Nice, man. I love it. I love it because it's almost like it's almost like a throwback. The hat, you know what I mean? It's like it's like a throwback, but it's a statement piece in and of itself. You know that when I first saw it, I was like, "Ooh!" I said, "Oh, I like that." And then I saw the hoodie, I saw the sweatpants, and I was like, "Oh, I actually like that, man. It actually looks really good." Well, Omar, man, oh gosh, I want to be so super respectful of your time, and one thing I want the last question I want to ask. This is a kind of a big one. When you when you step back, from this content creation game, what's one thing that you want to be remembered by, or you want to be remembered for as you move, which is going to be years from now because you got so much stuff that you still got to do. I'm excited to say that I got to know you now before you really blow up and you like forget me and forget everybody else except for your wife and your and your daughter. So I'm good. This is I got this in the archive, buddy. So we know each other now. So you can't say, "Oh, Steve, who?" I have no clue. I have no clue. No, you got a clue. So go ahead and tell us what's that one thing that you want to be your legacy, if you will, once you get finished with all of this stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, maybe I don't give it all that much thought, but I would love to be known for, you know, that I spent a lot of my time building the local church. Like
Mm,
I have these moments where like I have influx of influence and I have massive reach, but I in all honesty, all that stuff doesn't matter in comparison to like helping people number 1 know who Jesus is, and then number 2, like getting discipled and learning how to hear God for themselves so that they can make decisions, based on where God's leading them and letting them walk into their full calling. I'm able to actually experience that now. Like I know I'm like laying legacy because that's I spend such a huge part of my life doing that, and I say no to many things in
mm,
order for me to do that. So I definitely think it's really building the local church, and then more so is just that like as my platform grows, not going to compromise my character, and I'm gonna make it known that prioritizing your marriage is so important, that fathering your children is so important, and that people could see that in a such approachable and achievable way, and hoping that like my life would be able to you know um be exemplary in that nature. And so yeah, man, I definitely think it's just kind of like that people remembered me as that. I can care less if and I don't say I can care less, but like if
mm,
if I helped
mhm,
you with video and I helped you make a lot of money in your business, like I love that. But if I helped you, become a better husband because you
mm,
just felt challenged by maybe a
yeah,
post or a sermon that I preached, and then dude, I'm to the moon with that. Like I'm pumped, and I know that I am very cognizant of what really matters, despite the amount of views that I'm able to see on a daily basis. So um I'm, that hope, that keeps me humble. Like the coffee dates that I have with people in our church
yeah.
keep me humble. Me having my basketball small group tomorrow at 6 a.m. like keeps me humble. So I definitely think that's the legacy I want to live or leave behind.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you said that, man. And because I think I have down here written that the first sermon that you did was how to hear from the voice of God, if I'm not mistaken. That was probably that's what I've heard. That's the info that I got, was that was the title of your very first sermon. And the interesting thing is that you are continuing to live that life of not just that sermon, but you're living that life of making sure that you're hearing from God, and that there is consistency in who you are personally and to who you are professionally. This is Steve speaking. This is not just what I've seen, and just being able to connect with you, seeing you on YouTube, and I'm like, "Oh, that's my man." And then now, and then and then us in the DMs, like you literally like connected with me in the DMs, and like, okay, this is not a bot. This is Omar. And then us just talking in your course, and then you being here. I have to say that your level of consistency and who you are speaks volumes, and that's why your success is what it is. And I hope people understand that too, is that what we're talking about, this purpose piece, is not just purpose for purpose sake, but it's the consistency in how you live your life on and off the screen or behind the screen or behind the video that's more important, I feel, than anything else. Because once you turn this camera on, man, you will quickly be found out if you are not about your business or you're not about your father's business and not about who you are and whose you are. Omar El-Takori, I want to thank you so much for being here tonight, man. Um, if you got just a word of wisdom, I know you already just dropped, right, about your legacy. You just got a word of wisdom for the closing audience. Just you go ahead and drop it.
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage you with. There's a scripture in Galatians where it says, "Don't grow weary in doing good, for in due season you'll reap a harvest if you don't give up." So,
Hmm.
what's the punchline? The punchline is, if it's good, don't give up. If it's a good thing, if you're helping people, if maybe it's not easy, but it's a good thing, don't wear out. Don't let that, don't give up on a good thing, because I think a lot of us do, and we don't see it through months, years, and later down the line. So just keep going, don't quit, and hit me up in the DMs if you ever want to talk it up. And dude, I'm honored. Thank you for having me, Steve, for real. And I'm grateful for you just even trusting me, not only on this podcast, but even being a founder in my program. And your insight and what you're doing is incredible. And I appreciate you stepping
Thanks,
out and
man.
helping people and doing that good work.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Stay in the green screen while I close this out real quick. All right. Woo, man. Oh man. Like I said, I hope you guys didn't come here thinking we were going to talk gear. Maybe you did. I'm sorry if I disappointed you. I'm okay to disappoint you because at the end of the day, the gear is secondary. Who you are is first and foremost when you are in front of this camera and we are posting whatever it is that you're trying to do. If you want to have longevity, if you want to have consistency, if you want people to actually buy into you because they don't buy into the product, they buy into you. You are the brand, right? You are the content, so you have to be the content. Hopefully, everything that we spoke about here tonight, you are going to take some action on. You are not just going to sit here and listen to all of this wisdom that was just, placed out here into, in the internet, and you're just going to sit there. Hopefully, you were taking notes. You were writing things down. Thank you, everybody. In the comments, I really appreciate you guys for being here, and all of you going to be in a replay. Podcasters Live is here to help anybody that's thinking about growing their platform, utilizing the powerful, powerful combination of podcasting and live streaming. If you don't have a live stream, guess what? Guess what? We can help you with that. If you don't have a podcast, we can help you with that. We are here to serve. We are here to connect with you, the leaders and the authors that are out there in the community. We want to thank all of you tonight who have been here listening to Podcasters Live. We thank you so much. If you have a question or we didn't ask, or if you have a question that we weren't able to ask or that you were just thinking about, make sure you go ahead and put it in the comments, and we will definitely get back to you as well. We thank you so much for being here. Have a great day, and God bless.